Hello, hi everybody, and welcome to another video on Not Just Laylo. So in today's video, we're going to be discussing how to love someone with mental illness, or how to love someone who is neurodivergent. Neurodiversity refers to the variability in the way that your brain functions. So it affects your sociability, your way of learning, your overall stability, as well as your mood, amongst other things. And this can be very difficult and very straining on a relationship between two people, where one person is neurotypical and the other person is neurodivergent, or where one person has mental illness and the other person does not. It becomes very difficult, it becomes very taxing on the relationship. So I thought that this would be something I could talk about on this channel, because as my subscribers already know, I do have bipolar disorder, and I've realized that sometimes the way that I behave or the way that people relate to me can become very taxing on the people that I have relationships with. I've realized that most of the time I do have to educate people about my condition if I'm planning on having a serious relationship with them, be it romantic, be it a friendship. I've realized that I do have to make people aware of my condition. So the very first thing that's very important when it comes to loving someone who has mental illness or is neurodivergent, you have to educate yourself on the condition of the person that you are trying to relate to or trying to form a relationship with. If you know more about this person's illness, it's much easier to understand why somebody does the things that they do, and it's much easier to relate to somebody. It's also good because you can, if you are aware of the way that somebody's brain functions, you can help them in ways that somebody who was not aware could not. If you're aware that someone has a specific condition, it also helps with trying to avoid situations that would make said person uncomfortable. One thing I do know for a fact is that you can't be helpful in a situation when you don't know the basis of what's going on. It's very good to know the details and the particulars of the mental illness that the person that you are trying to love is. So one thing that you can do is go onto the NAMI. That is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. That is where you will find the most up-to-date information on mental illness and the symptoms and medication that your person could possibly be taking. This will definitely help you to become more aware. One thing that you can also do to help somebody who is neurodivergent or mentally ill is that you can be overall very supportive. This is very, very important because as mentally ill people, we do go through a lot emotionally and just in terms of life. And one thing that I appreciate so much is the incredibly supportive people that are in my life, that are around me all the time. It's good to have safe people in your life that can affirm you that you're not defined by your illness, and that are just safe to talk to, that I trust. I definitely value those relationships so much, because I know that if I have a safe space, I can talk to anyone if I can't see my therapist immediately, or even if it's something that I don't feel like I need to bring up in therapy per se, like I have someone to talk to that is in my immediate space. That is always a good thing to have. That affirmation is always good. That safety is always good. That love that you feel immediately and that support will always be helpful. And it's always good to have someone in my life that I know is always going to care for my safety. One thing I'm very against with regards to loving someone with mental illness is do not feel like you have to take on the person's problems in your life. It is okay to take a break. It is okay to care for yourself. Do not take it upon yourself to be a mother or a caregiver or a nurturer towards that person, overwhelmingly so. It's very good to set a boundary for yourself when it comes to that person, because it can feel like you're taking on too much when it comes to caring for that person, and you need to maintain a boundary for yourself. You'll take on too much responsibility, and feeling personally responsible for somebody's behavior, especially somebody who's mentally ill, can be very taxing on yourself. You also have to avoid saying things that will invalidate the way that the person you love feels. Avoid saying things like try harder, because as far as you're concerned, the person who's having a mental breakdown or the person who's feeling suicidal has been trying their best and they feel like they're failing at it. If there's one thing I know, if somebody was having a physiological illness where, say for example, they were having an asthma attack, you wouldn't necessarily tell them to try breathing harder. So when someone is having a mental breakdown or is feeling suicidal or is having a problem mentally, try your best not to tell them to work harder at being happier, or try not to tell them to be grateful for all the things that they have, because there are people who have less. That is a terrible thing to say. One thing I know for a fact is also not helpful is guilting someone who is suicidal into keeping their life. You cannot say things like, imagine how sad your friends and family would be if you did this. That is not a good thing at all. If anything, it makes me feel suicidal and guilty. It will have a negative impact on the way that I am feeling, and that is not the reaction that you would like from the person that you are trying to love. But one thing that is good is to practice empathy and support. And when you practice empathy and support and you say, you're not afraid of saying, I don't know what you're feeling right now, but I would like to help you through it. That is a good thing. If you also practice making your relationship a safe space, that will make the neurodivergent person that you are dealing with become more likely to come to you in times of need. The worst case is if someone feels suicidal and they have absolutely nobody to talk to. One thing that I really hope that you'd be able to take away from this is, once you are aware of the symptoms that the person is dealing with, please don't take them personally. Please don't take them to heart. Sometimes it feels like we have little to no control over how we feel, how we behave. I know that I can be very aggressive sometimes, and it's very difficult sometimes for people to deal with the shifts in my mood because of my bipolar disorder. And for a very long time before I was diagnosed, I was only diagnosed at 16 or 17 years old. I was only diagnosed at 16 or 17 years old, and I know that for a very, very long period of time, 16 years, before that, a lot of people would take my shifts in mood very personally, and my irritability would be taken very personally. I would be punished for being manic, hypomanic. I would be misunderstood when I'm depressed. It's a very difficult thing to deal with, and once you are aware of what's going on, it's much easier for you to deal with the person that you love and to live with the person that you love. One thing that I think is incredibly important in loving somebody who is neurodivergent or mentally ill is to encourage them to get professional help, and to encourage them to get help from outside and other people as well. It's very good to get professional help as the first step, and I promise you, as a mentally ill person, as somebody who is neurodivergent, I have benefited so much from seeing a therapist and from seeing a psychiatrist and taking my medication, and being encouraged to live and love and be on this earth and be happy and try hard at things. And if I fail, I mean, it's hard, but like, I tried, and I want to be happy, and I want to live, and I want to be on this earth. And you know, that's all due to the fact that I've been taking care of myself, and I've been taking my treatment. I've been taking my illness very seriously. One thing that I've also learned is that, you know, my illnesses do not define me. Thank you so much for watching this video. I know that it's been shorter than my usual videos, but I do hope that you enjoyed it. This is something that has been very close to my heart, and let me know if you'd like to see more videos about mental illness or my mental illness. If you'd like to know more about my bipolar disorder, the way that I function, do let me know. I will put the link to the NAMI website in the description box below, and I will see you guys next week.